What had happened was...
Hey y'all, and welcome to I Just Called to Say, your reality TV and pop culture podcast. I'm your reality TV bestie, Megan. Pew, pew. And you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Megan_. Pew, pew. And you can also follow all the fun at I Just Called to Say podcast on Instagram. Like, subscribe, follow, leave us a review, tell your mama and them about this podcast. Let me know what reality TV shows you're watching, and I'll let you know what reality TV shows I'm watching. Then we can banter, babes. It's all about a good chat and the banter about the reality TV. Also, you can watch this podcast only on Spotify and YouTube, and you can listen anywhere podcasts can be heard. But if you are watching, be warned, I'm about to be adjusting this dress every 2 seconds. I can already feel it because I'm looking at myself on the camera. You see this? For those of you who are listening, I'm describing, you know, that little pocket in between your armpit and like, you know, that little armpit fat pocket that just naturally happens. Yeah, I'm talking about that. I'm trying to squeeze that in. I had a friend. She chose us to wear dresses like this for her wedding. She had some bridesmaids dresses like that with the little arm fat pockets. I knew she wasn't my friend then. No, I'm just kidding. But it was a bad choice. But let's talk about bad choices as far as Sweet 16s go. Because, you know, there's some good choices and some bad choices. So you got to pay homage to MTV's My Super Sweet 16. Because those kids, they had some bad behavior and they were still getting rewarded with these most iconic birthday parties. Now, I had a Sweet 16. And I don't think I had bad behavior. I was nothing like these children. Now, I'm not going to say I was a perfect child, but I wasn't over here crying and screaming about some of the things these kids were getting. Okay?
I can't believe she's such an idiot. She just ruined the whole party.
Just wanted to preface that. Just go put that little caveat out there.
My mom got me my car now. I told her not to get it. I wanted it at my party. I didn't want the car. That's not even the car I even wanted.
We are diving into the glitz and glam and the drama of MTV's My Super Sweet 16, specifically the Sweet 16 era of 2007. That was when I had my Sweet 16, which was definitely inspired by the show. Okay, so let's think about it. What were some of the most memorable moments of a Sweet 16 back in 2007? So like the themes, the decor. So I feel like the Hollywood theme, that was a classic one. And my Sweet 16 was definitely Hollywood themed because your girl thought she was a celebrity already. I was like, I'm famous for something. But the Hollywood theme was always a good one. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite episodes, this girl had a Christmas themed Sweet 16. Her birthday kind of like fell around Christmas and she had a Sweet 16. And this is the girl who had it in Nashville, Tennessee, showed up in a stretch Hummer and had Young Jock perform. Y'all remember Young Jock had us zoom. So she had that Sweet 16, and I specifically remember Young Jock wanted to buy her stretch Hummer. She got the stretch Hummer, I think, as like her car, but I was like, what child is gonna drive a limo? Or maybe they gave her 2 cars. Maybe she got the stretch Hummer to arrive in, and then she got a regular Hummer. Who knows? These kids were getting double cars, and I was like, is this for the show, or is this just because? Now, I remember one girl, she got 2 cars, but it kind of made sense because her parents owned a Mitsubishi car dealership. So they just gave her 2 Mitsubishis. It was like, okay, that's nice. That's a nice economy car. You know, were Mitsubishi's economy car? Close enough. You know, they were like sporty economy. Because when I was growing up, child, there was a Sweet 16 every weekend. So it was like the show was totally influencing us and we were all throwing the Sweet 16. And it was like, what are you going to wear to the Sweet 16? When the Danity Kane song comes on, we got to do this choreography. Walk, walk. And if you weren't invited to some of these Sweet 16s, child, I feel for you. Because the invite list, it could be cutthroat. It could be cut. Now, I invited like 100 kids to my Sweet 16. It was like close to 100 kids. Yeah. And I was definitely the token black girl at my own party. Evidence to prove. But yeah, so it's like I had like 100 kids in the invite list. I want to say like the invite list was tight, but I remember at one point I was just inviting people just to invite them. I did invite this one guy. He was like kind of nerdy, and I was like, I don't think he's ever going to be invited to a party like this. So I invited him, and it was so sweet because his mom dropped him off because I guess she wanted to make sure he wasn't about to get bullied or it wasn't a setup and that it was real. It was real, and he had a great time. See, I am a good person. None of those kids on that show would have done that. They were snatching back invites. Meanwhile, I'm over here giving the gift of a good time to teenagers. See, the party is fully activated by this point. The DJ has given us permission. We are activated. The Red Bulls are flowing. They're cracked down at this point, myself included. Sweet 16. Okay, but let's talk about the fashions. The fashions for the Sweet 16. Because you weren't doing it right unless you had 2 dresses. You had to have a wardrobe change, okay? And I can remember some like iconic outfits from my Super Sweet 16. Like, y'all remember Tiana Taylor? Tiana Taylor, I knew her as a Sweet 16er. And then when she came out with music and she was like a real legit artist, I was like, y'all talking about Tiana Taylor from my Super Sweet 16 who had her party, I think, at the Brooklyn Museum? You know how expensive that is? She had it at a museum. It was a museum in New York. So either way, that's expensive. And she got a bike and a car. What do you need a car for in New York? The bike I could understand. And it was a nice bike. And she had Pharrell show up to her Sweet 16. Who has Pharrell show up? I remember one other child. They had a Sweet 16 at the 40/40 Club. And Jay-Z made a cameo. And I think Rihanna did. That's crazy. The New York City Sweet 16s, they were on another level. But we're over here in South Carolina playing at my Sweet 16, being influenced by these kids on the TV show. The delusion that it takes to get your family behind the idea to throw you a Sweet 16, that's a lot of delusion. But they fell for it. And my family, they threw me this party. But we're talking about the outfits. How did I get here? We're talking about the outfits. Okay, yeah, you weren't doing it unless you had 2 outfits. You had to have a wardrobe change. And Tiana Taylor, I think she had like a Betsy Johnson dress. That's what I'm trying to say. She had this whole extravagant New York City Sweet 16. And she had a dope outfit by Betsy Johnson. Or maybe it was somebody else. I don't know. But it was like iconic. Oh, there was this one girl. She had a kensei on there. And her whole court, they were like Marie Antoinette dress. Like, I mean, like the bustles, the corsets, the powder wigs. Like, it was a vibe. But I was like, what 14, 15-year-old is like this into this and throws that as like their kensei theme? Like, I love that for you. Old soul. And then entertainment was key. I feel like the classic thing that happened on my Super Sweet 16 was you either had to perform at your Sweet 16 or either have a performer at your Sweet 16, or you had to do both. Okay. So you had to perform at the top of it, and then someone would come in and perform after you, and you had to be like, oh my God, I didn't know my parents got this person for me to perform. Like I told you, that one girl, she had Young Jock. That was everything. Either you had to perform or you had to have a performer, or a combination of both. And I was not about to perform at my Sweet 16 because there were a lot of scary scenarios from that show. Remember that one girl? She thought it was going to be a good idea to sing an Alicia Keys song at her Sweet 16 when she wasn't a singer. Why are you doing this? That's setting yourself up for failure. And then the one girl, Cher, she wanted to do a little dance routine at her party, and then her pants kept falling down and her butt crack was showing. It was like, girl, how embarrassing. So I was like, no, I will not be performing at my Sweet 16. But I did have a performer, and people still talk about it to this day. It was like still like in the era of the Young Jock snap music. I had Street Runners Click, and it was like 2 hands, hey, hey, 1 hand, hey, hey, no hands, hey, hey. That group. Okay, so they were based out of Atlanta. During the MySpace era, my sister linked up with their manager via MySpace, I'm pretty sure, because I hacked into her MySpace and I low-key found out. Like, I didn't find out. It wasn't confirmed, but I was like, yo, I think my sister's working out a performer for me for my Sweet 16. I just called to say. Honesty. That was an honesty moment. But yeah, so she had a performer show up for my Sweet 16, and that thing was everything. And they brought CDs for everyone, signed the CDs. It was lit. So I was fully influenced by the My Super Sweet 16 era, which totally makes sense for someone like me who's absolutely obsessed with reality TV. Like, you don't just wake up and this becomes you. Like, this is destined, okay? Like, I've been watching these shows since 13, 14 and being like, you know what? Delusions of grandeur. So I just called to say my Super Sweet 16 era was everything circa 2006 to like 2009. And then the Sweet 16s just fell off. People don't Sweet 16 like they used to, but it also makes sense because the kids don't go to the club like they used to. The clubs are dying, okay? People are not like getting it like they used to. Millennials, we got to help these kids out. You know, it's our duty as millennials, as we're birthing the next generation, we got to start making them have Sweet 16s. The kids aren't going to the club like they used to. Like we were grinding. Point in case, we were grinding. Conga line grinding. They're not doing that anymore. we're still having to get the party started on the dance floor for them. And it shows. We grew up going to Sweet 16s. We grew up doing the dances, doing the steps. These kids just grew up doing the TikToks. They're not it's not IRL. Okay? We got to start making them have Sweet 16s, okay? Now, they don't need to be extravagant as we used to because, these Sweet 16s were getting ridiculous. They were being like $10K and over. It was like, that's someone's wedding budget. Like, we are not doing that, okay? That's college. That's college. So, yeah, let's still do the Sweet 16s, but let's do them smart and on a budget. But if you can afford it, then shit, ball out. I'm here for it. And document that. Let's bring back the show, okay? Sweet 16. We need to be at the Sweet 16s. So yeah, we actually probably do need to bring them back. If not for them, then for us. Let's get like a 16 going on 34, okay? Like, I'm down for that. 16 going on 34. And it's a new show where we watch people who didn't have Sweet 16s, or maybe who did, now have the perfect 30th-ish birthday party. Ha! I'll sell it. I'll sell that show. And I'd watch that show. Okay. I just called to say. All right. Tune in next week as we talk more reality TV and pop culture. Let me know what shows you're watching. Let me know what shows I'm watching. All right. Tune in next week. Beep, beep.